Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Luke Jones is in studio. If you're watching out on Facebook Live or YouTube on our WNS TV channel, welcome. It's great to have you aboard. We're having some fun tonight, sharing some old stories, videos. The Terps game wasn't much to talk about. We usually are sitting at the Combine drinking right now. Instead, we're here drinking and eating Pizza John's. Big thanks to our friends at Pizza John's. My wife picked up a bunch of pizza. We had pizza.
It's delicious.
We had,
as always.
We had ravioli. We had cheesesteaks. I had beer. It was delicious. And desserts as well. Pizza John's, Essex. We love them. Thank you very much. Also, our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. That's not coffee in there. I got water in there, but there'll be coffee in the morning. Make sure you're using the ROFO rewards card. When you're gassing up, you'll get your ROFO coffee and your Western. I haven't had Western fries in the calendar year.
It's been a minute.
Dude, it's March. I got to get some Western fries.
It might be a weekend plan.
All right, we're going through stuff here. Also, I want to say hello to Strategic Factory and our newest sponsor, Hammer and Nails. They do a great job out there in Owings Mills. They cut my hair today. If I didn't have my hat on, you'd see it. But when I get all gussied up with my wife this week, you'll see it. And Owings Mills also, Strategic Factory. We had Keith Miller on the show. Really appreciate our sponsors. They keep Luke and I in business, keep our families fed. We're appreciative. I'm going through so much stuff. Luke, do you know what this is? As a device, do you know what this is?
A Beanie Baby?
It's a Beanie Baby. It's a special Beanie Baby. You know why this is special?
Why is that special?
In 1998, when the Beanie Baby craze was going on,
my sister had so many of them.
Major League Baseball had a special thing in Colorado where this was the special All-Star Game Beanie Baby. They only gave them out at the stadium. There were people waving $100 bills at me.
I believe it.
For these on the way out the door, and it's been 21 years
and
later.
And they're probably worth $3.
I'm going to find out. We're going to Google it right now because I want to know.
My sister had...
Here, put
so
this
many
guy
of them
on your lap there. He's cute, isn't he? Okay, let's go to it. So 1998 All-Star Game Denver Beanie. How do you spell Beanie? Baby.
That's right.
Baby, B-A-B-Y, baby.
That's right.
Baby. Rare, mint condition, $249.
Really?
Give me that. Get off it. Sorry, buddy. Little buddy. No.
I got pizza sauce on
it. So anyway,
sorry.
I found some stuff. So, I'm trying to pull stuff out and just go total Mary Lou Henner. And I saw this. Tell me the significance of this. This is pretty cool right here. So, Bullets, Philadelphia 76ers, 1987. Do you know what that signifies there?
I'm not sure.
That is the last time that Dr. J suited up.
Oh, okay.
And, so this was the cool. Dr. J press pass.
Brother-in-law would appreciate that.
Do you remember when I hung the Dr. J? I had a poster in here for a while. I had a Dr. J. He autographed it to me.
Well, I've kind of sort of adopted the Sixers as a way to bond with my brother-in-law. I don't.
Do you curse at people?
I'm not Mr. No.
No, you're okay.
I'm not. I've read up on the history a little bit. I mean, I know Dr. J and Barkley and Moses and all those, but
this is the time I saw Dan Fouts play on 33rd Street. That's a Baltimore Colts. And you can see the San Diego Superchargers. There it is right there. And so I have all my old Colts. The old tickets were tiny, right? So they're these little. This right here is a Pittsburgh Steelers, a Baltimore Colts ticket there. I don't know. Game 5. I have to figure out which year. You can always tell from the style of the tickets year after year. A lot of these don't have the year. This is a Colts Raiders ticket from 75. 75, they probably lost that game. The Raiders were really good then, and that was the year they went on the tear. That was the year they started 1-4. So
right.
They probably lost that game, and then they went nuts after that and won a bunch of games. This is a Cleveland Browns. This is when Art Modell owned the Cleveland Browns, and this is from 1980. This is we were not a very good team in 1980. It's 80 because the cheeseburger from Wendy's expired the next year in 81, if you can see that on the back. So this is from my. I went on a trip in the summer of 1990 with Russ Letcher. Have I ever told you that? We got in a car and we drove to Chicago.
Okay.
To see Comiskey Park before they ripped it down. I saw Nolan Ryan make his last start at Comiskey. So we drove overnight, all night to Chicago. We had a flat tire in Pittsburgh, but I fixed it. We got to Chicago. We saw a night game at Wrigley. We saw a doubleheader at Comiskey, and obviously the Rangers were playing because it was Nolan Ryan. And the Bears were playing a preseason game, and I saw the Bears. Dan Marino was a Dolphin. This is from Soldier Field.
Don Shula.
In 1990, yes. So this was game 1, which was August, which was a preseason game. So I got to go to the old Soldier Field. So
you actually paid for preseason football?
I think I paid $5 or $10 out on the street for that one. Look at this.
Different back
what
then.
is old is new again. This was the ticket I talked about with Jim Everett. Jim Everett started that game. I had him on a couple weeks ago. There's the Los Angeles Rams ticket from the vet. I was a season ticket holder with the vet with Russ Letcher for those years. So there's some Eagles season tickets in here. This is Redskins from '87, and of course Baldinger played in these games too. So that's kind of a fun thing when I always kid him around about that stuff too. This was the day that Danny White came in and kicked our ass. 1981 Colts. That was not a very good campaign. So those are Colts tickets. I'll put those away.
I don't have any Colts tickets, and of course, I mean I was a baby when they moved, but the coolest. This might be the coolest piece of memorabilia that I have that isn't like just an autograph or something like that.
Your dad's?
No, my grandfather.
Oh.
My dad's stepfather.
Speaking of dad and grandfather, you've reached.
I have a 1947 Baltimore Colts All-American Football Conference program.
Green and silver
program.
Colts?
I believe they played the New York Yankees. Remember, they were an All-American team. The Brooklyn Dodgers were in that league, the 49ers.
I'm Googling that. 1947.
I believe that was the Colts' first year in the All-American Conference.
I thought it was 49, but okay.
I think it was 47.
Okay.
I have one from I have a 1950
Colts
program
roster.
also.
Hold on, right here. 1947 Colts roster. They were the green and silver.
And they were pretty terrible.
Bud Schwenk, Bus Mertes, Billy Hillebrand. I don't know. These are before my time, dog. But do they have a schedule? I was trying to see.
The program is, I actually have a picture of it on Instagram, I believe.
I'm looking for results.
They were either playing
the 2-11.
They were playing the New York Yankees or the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Okay, well, I can they played the New York Yankees at home on September 28th, 1947, and they played the Brooklyn Dodgers at home on September 7th, 1947. And if you're lucky, it was the Brooklyn Dodgers because you would have had the game they won that year.
The program
they won 16-7.
I have a picture of it on my phone. The program that I
do you really? Let me see that.
Hold
that up.
There it is, right there.
Here,
let me try to zoom to make it a little bit bigger.
This is cool. See, everybody likes to share their stuff.
Right there, green.
If you hold it like that, it'll come right up. There you go. Get it
but you can see green and silver. They played the New York Yankees that day.
Look at that.
But I have that.
Look at that Colt.
And it is in excellent condition, too. I mean, it's not something I would ever sell because my grandfather gave it to me.
October 5th. Oh, that's the next home game. So hold on. That was the Yankees. Does it have a date on it? What's that date say?
It would have been September 28th if you look at the schedule.
September 28th. There it is.
Yeah.
They lost 21-7 to the Yankees that day. How about that?
You see the green and silver banner with over the drawing of the Colts.
So this was my moldy oldie box from the last segment, and I don't want to say all my value. I mean, this is just a thing that I put special stuff in. So part of the special stuff was these are Super Bowl tickets from Dolphin Stadium. They're warped. If you look, they're warped. Do you know why they're warped that day, Luke? Do you have any idea?
That was the Colts Bears, right?
Yeah, that was the rainy day that Prince played.
Indianapolis won a Super Bowl.
And my tickets got wet because literally everything got wet. So that's why they're in there. So anyway, these are my Super Bowl tickets from Houston. This is a full ticket. I used my press pass to get in, but I sat in the seat. That's a full ticket, and there's a half a ticket from the Super Bowl, and that was when Tommy won.
Was that
my wife?
What year was that?
This is 04.
This
was 6 months after my marriage. Reliant Stadium.
04. That was the
Patriots.
Carolina.
Right?
That
was a Carolina.
That's what I knew. It was the Patriots.
Okay, that's right.
I couldn't remember if it was Carolina or if Philly was the following year.
So some of these are a little weird. This was the Colts last Colts season when they lost to the Steelers. And I went to that game with my dad. This last game I went to with my dad. My dad did not go to the Oiler game. He was so pissed. He knew they were leaving. I went alone. I think I have a ticket, but I don't know that I have a ticket. I went to this game to the Packers game with my dad. This was the year they were 08-1 or whatever. And I had a camera, and I have all these great pictures of Mike Pagel and James Lofton and Lynn Dickey and all these great players. But this here is April 8th, 1991, Orioles, Chicago White Sox. Was that the last home? That was the last opening day at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
That's why that ticket's there. So all of these are in here for some.
If I recall, they got blown
reason. I don't. They all have a little weird reason for being in here. This is kind of neat. I went to the U.S. Open in 1986, and I saw Lendl play. So this is a postcard. If you look at that these things here, this is postmarked for the World Series. It's an actual postcard that day, right?
Very cool.
That's stamped for the Orioles. I'm assuming it's kind of a unique item, right?
You would think so.
Right, okay. I think they did that at the stadium because that's what – remember they collected stamps back in the day and all that stuff? Player of the Year 1987. I must have been a Stedman thing. Oh, look at this. Look at this, that I collected this. See what this is, Luke? This is a Washington Senators ticket stub, and that is Ted Williams' autograph.
Very cool.
You like that?
Absolutely.
My dad got that. You like that?
Absolutely.
There you go. Ted Williams. This here, I mentioned Todd Froworth. Mm-hmm. Maybe the theme is departed Orioles tonight. Todd Froworth. I mentioned that I went to a basketball game with Froworth and Messina, and I told you it was at the St. Petersburg Dome. There it is. We saw Duke Marquette, Kentucky play, and I mentioned that recently because I had Mark Messina on. We were telling old Van Halen stories. But $12. I think Moose sprung for the tickets, if I'm not mistaken, because he was making more money than me then. This is an AFC championship game ticket in Pittsburgh. This is the Jim Harbaugh miracle throw that fell just short in the end zone. That was the AFC championship game in Pittsburgh in 1996. And I drove up for that game, and I bought that ticket.
It's Ted Marchibroda's last game as Colts head coach.
This is a pretty good one, dude. This is a ticket stub from The Drive. This is the John Elway Drive game in Cleveland. Ernie Accorsi got me this ticket because John Stedman asked him to get me a single ticket for that game. And I flew that day with Phil Jackman. And we flew on a 6 o'clock flight into Cleveland. And Jackman's like, "What's the matter, you heathen? You're not going to church? We're going to church." And I'm like, "Phil, we're going to church. We're going to go to church, Phil. We're going to go to church." So have I told you the story in Cleveland?
I've heard this story.
You've heard it. I've shown you the church, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
church. It's in downtown Cleveland. It's a stately, beautiful brick church in downtown Cleveland.
I've said it
I don't
before,
know,
Cleveland is underrated.
Catholic Methodist.
Begrudgingly,
I'm
I
not sure what
admit.
it was, but we walk into the church that morning, and there's Jackman and me off a plane from Baltimore. Everyone in the church is wearing Brown
stuff.
jerseys, and half the
Not
people
surprised.
in there had dog masks on. For the church. I'm not making that up.
Wearing
That's-
a Browns jersey or
It's
a
all
sweater
true.
or something.
It is
That's
absolutely
one thing. The dog mask, that's a bit much.
Here is the the ticket stub. This is kind of cool. 1987 Atlantic Coast Conference basketball tournament. My dear friend Steve Cerrone, who owned Captain Harvey's in Dundalk, was a bleeding heart Carolina Blues supporter and a basketball scout. And this is from a book. So these ticket books were literally, the whole book was, tiny, like a cigarette card would be back in the 20s. Really tiny. And you had the tickets ripped out, and they're made of paper. And sponsored by Maxwell House, awful to the last drop. There it is. So that's the Capitol said this was Valvano, J.R. Reed, Chucky Brown, Shackelford. But that was a good era there. So I got all of these like old school Capitals flyers. These are my division. These are my March Madness tickets. 1998 Caps Stanley Cup. There you go. Stanley Cup Finals. What game was that? TBA game. That was the night that that they won the cup. That the Red Wings won the cup that night. So that's why I kept that ticket there. AFC playoff game in New England. I probably don't want to see that one. Probably not one I want to revisit. That's old school.
I was going to say.
That one,
this looks like the Bledsoe era.
That was the Fog Bowl game. It was a foggy game. They beat the Steelers. They knocked the Steelers out.
Then it's a good thing.
It was a good thing. Here's a unique ticket stub here. In 1992, David Segui got me 2 strips of tickets to the Pittsburgh World Series, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay.
And my buddy, I think I had 4 strips because every player could buy. And Segui didn't care. He was my buddy. He got me. I bought the tickets. And I'm sitting there with the strips of tickets for the World Series. And my buddies we're going to drive to Pittsburgh. We're going to go to the World Series. Like, I got tickets for the World Series. Like, even if it's a Pirates, a Blue Jays, whatever. Do you remember the Sid Bream?
Yeah.
Francisco Cabrera?
Yeah.
This is the ticket stub from the Sid Bream Francisco Cabrera game that knocked out my World Series I think Ken Rosenthal got this for me.
Knocked Barry Bonds out of Pittsburgh, too.
And took away my dream of going to the World Series. So I have a ticket stub from the Sid Bream game, so if that matters. This here was the coldest football game I ever went to and sat in. This is the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field, 1997. This was Brett Favre.
Against Carolina, right?
Carolina, and it was very, very cold that day. And all I remember about that day, it was probably 5 degrees at game time. I went and bought French fries at Lambeau Field. You were all Gucci at Lambeau Field last year. Press boxes. It's all nice now.
Oh, we still had to walk outside to get downstairs, though.
It used to be like I bought French fries.
It was very cold.
When I got to my seat, they were like frozen potato sticks.
You thought
true story. It's true.
It reverted to where they were when they came out of the freezer.
I saw a Stanley Cup playoff game at the Joe Louis Arena. Maybe they're playing the Blues or something. I don't know who they're playing, but I saw. So I got ticket stubs from all sorts of weird stuff here. This is a Super Bowl 6 ticket. This is I acquired this somewhere along the world, but this is a Super Bowl 10 ticket stub. I collected these. I collect. At one point, I wanted to have one from every game.
Sure.
And I think I could still pull that off.
Probably could.
But I was collecting them, trading them, doing stuff. This is a. I don't know if it's a phantom ticket. Did the 1980 World Series go 7 games? I'm not even sure. If it did, this is a real ticket. World Series 1980. Did it? I thought it went 6, but maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. I don't think there was a Game 7. There was no Game 7.
Okay.
It ended in 6. Tug McGraw, the whole deal.
Right.
There is a full ticket from Game 7 of the 1980. I collected stuff. So some of this stuff is like collectible. This is another thing that was not mine. A 1972 World Series ticket from Pittsburgh that I think they didn't make the World Series in 72. No. They were not in the 72 World Series. So that is a phantom ticket, so if that matters. This is a 1970 All-Star Game press pass. So, this stuff, but this is the wildest thing, okay? This is a really cool thing. Do you see what that says? Read to everybody what that says on there.
Baltimore Orioles 1960 World Series, Memorial Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland. Lower box, $10.05.
Phantom tickets.
Yeah.
And this is real. In the event that this Game 5 ticket is not be played, this ticket will be refunded no later than November 15th, 1960, at the face value of any branch of the Baltimore National Bank. There it is right there. So somebody ate $10 on a lower box seat ticket. It might have been my dad. This is a really good seat, dude.
Orioles won 89 games.
Dude, this is a serious ticket. Section 4, row B5. That's right off. That was right off third
$10
base.
in 1960. I mean, that's a good seat.
It's a $100 ticket now. 1974 All-Star Game ticket stub from Pittsburgh. There you go. So weird stuff I'm collecting here. This was my season ticket. This was an NFC Championship game ticket for the Philadelphia Eagles that when Jim Everett beat them, they got knocked out. Remember I talked to Jim Everett about that? So that's the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia that never happened. And that was my season ticket. 721 row 1. I sat in that seat for 6 years. What else we got here? Oh, look at this. So this will be a fun story, and this will be a good way to maybe end this part of this. Here's a press pass from Stedman seeing the 86 Bears play a playoff game at Soldier Field. I think this one came from Ken Murray. This was a Jets playoff game. Actually, it has Andrea Kirby's name on the back. I don't know why, and I know Andrea pretty well. She's cool. So John Stedman's 1986 playoff and World Series press passes. And this is a fun story. I want to hold these up, especially the playoff pass. And if I ever get Davey Johnson back on the show and he's ever nice to me, Stedman and Davey Johnson were old-time friends, right, because of the 60s in baseball. Stedman came into the office one night, and I don't have the baseball here. I don't think I have it anymore. If I have a couple of baseballs in the back box here. Let me pull out the ones that I do have, and you can have some fun with these baseballs. This one I try not to touch too much, and I probably should have it under glass. So Stedman came back with a baseball, and it was a 1986. It was a National League baseball It looked like this baseball right here. This is not the baseball. I'll show you what this baseball is because it's cool and it's a different story altogether. But this was this is Charles Feeney, National League Baseball. And he brought back a baseball and he brought it into the newsroom and he had this press pass. And he had just come from the train at Shea Stadium and it was the Mets and the Astros. Mm-hmm. And Davey Johnson was pulling the baseballs off the field. And he was giving him to Stedman because he wanted Stedman to write about the scuffing that Mike Scott was scuffing the ball. Scott's fingernails were all into the baseball everywhere. And you could see the scuffing on the ball. And Davey Johnson gave the balls to John Stedman. Stedman came back with like 10 baseballs.
That's funny.
In a satchel that Davey Johnson gave him in the newsroom. This is journalism in the 80s. And this was Steady's press pass from the 86 National League Championship Series. And if you go Google it, Steady wrote about the scuffed baseballs and the cheating. And there's the World Series, 1986. This here would be the press pass with Bill Buckner. Right?
Absolutely.
The Bill Buckner press pass. So there you have it. So John Stedman, so a couple baseballs. This is scuffed, but you can see when he gets into the Hall of Fame, this will be worth a lot of money. You know who that one is?
Who is it? I can't see it.
I'm gonna. That is Pete Rose.
There you go.
And that is looks like chocolate. It might be poop. I don't know what it is, but it's something on there. I don't know what it is. And on the other side of that, so in 1981, my father left me to go back to Venezuela. My paternal father in 1979, and my father came back to visit me in the summer of 1981 before the baseball strike. And my father was in the baseball family, obviously.
Right.
And one of his dear friends was a man named Gonzalo Contreras. And he died many, many, many years ago. He was diabetic. He had an amputated leg. And my wife's diabetic back in those days. And he was a childhood friend of Manny Trio.
Okay.
So Manny Trio was his contact. So Manny Trio got my dad into, and Kevin Eck was with me. We went up to Philadelphia. And so this was a baseball my dad took into the Phillies clubhouse. And Pete Rose and Manny Trio signed it. And I have a whole litany, and I think I've shown him before, of Stadium Hilton autographs. Mike Schmidt, Bob Boone, Gary Matthews. I can tell you all, Gary Maddox, Steve Carlton. They were all on that team. And my dad had, when you checked into the hotel, you would just get like your little Stadium Hilton for notes.
Right.
My dad took that, and all the players autographed one sheet each. So I have Bo Diaz. No, Bo Diaz wasn't on the team. Trio was the guy on that team. But Sisto wasn't there yet in 81, so I don't have the Sisto autograph. But that right there is a 67.
I was going to say.
Louis was on that team. My grandfather gave me that ball.
Bob Johnson, Gene Woodland,
You know who's
Jim
missing
Palmer.
from that ball? Frank Robinson's not on that ball because it was the year he was hurt. So it might have been the 68 team. He was hurt in 68, right, Frank?
I think so.
Let me make sure that's right. Because
67 or 68.
I am Mary Lou Henner. The year his autograph is conspicuously missing from
Paul
that
Blair,
baseball.
Boog Powell.
Read through it.
Charlie Lau.
It's the
it looks
68
like.
team, right? So the whole 1968 Orioles, I think. Hold on, I'll get the roster because I think you're reading me.
Russ Snyder, Brooks. Let's see. Some of these I just can't read.
That was the year Frank was banged up. 68. I'm almost positive of that. Banged up's relative.
He was banged up the year before, too.
He had 508 at bats that year, but he averaged 670.
But he missed 30 games.
He missed 30 games. Right? He 129 games in 67 and 130 games in 68. So I don't know whether it's a 68 or a 67. You tell me. If there's an identifying player that was on one team and not the other, we would probably have that right. Is Eddie Watt on there? I thought he was. Dave Leonard, Dave May, Larry Haney, Andy Etchebarren, Mo Drabowski, Wally Bunker, Gene Brabender, Kurt Blefrey.
Yeah, but a lot of the names you mentioned were on multiple years.
Yeah. Well, they're all on here. Charlie Lau's on there. Look
Charlie
at that.
Lau, that's...
It says Dick Hall. I see Dick Hall on there. Dick Hall. That might have been 66. It wasn't 66. Either way.
Charlie Lau, he's not on that roster.
This is a more interesting baseball, and it's really fading like crazy, man. I should get it restored. This is a '73 Boston Red Sox ball. Louis personally handed me this ball. Have you ever seen the picture of me and Louis when I was little? This is the ball in the picture.
Very cool.
This is the ball
That's
I'm
awesome.
holding. So Louis' autograph is in black, if you can see that, and all the rest. There's Orlando Cepeda. So right off the bat, there's another Hall of Famer, right? So on this ball is, it shows up better on the camera than it does like with my eyes.
Yeah, because I can't see any of it.
I can read it better on the camera, and people signed on the stitching. Let me try to get it, because there's some really cool. Louis Tiant's on this ball. Petrocelli's on this ball.
That's awesome.
Fisk is on this ball. Yaz is on this ball. So, and I don't know if I can get it into full. It kind of sucks. Diego Segui might be on this ball. But either way, I've had it forever. I don't know what it would be really worth. It's probably worth not much. It's probably banged
Probably
up.
with
It's
it being
worth
so
more to
faded.
me. Yeah, and it's scuffed up a little bit, but it's got character. Like all things here. Just like my Skipjack's pucks do down here. How about this? Capitol Center 10th anniversary. That's Centertainment. It's my Capitol Center puck. And then here, this is my heart here. When you Baltimore Skipjacks, when you skip. So I got all that stuff in here. So I got bags and bags of this stuff. Some of this stuff's from my dad. This was something I found. My dad was a Little League aficionado. These are the official rules of Little League, 1967. My dad was an umpire. So
I was an umpire for a few years.
You can see my dad folded it with a clicker. He had a clicker? You have a clicker? Yeah.
I probably still have it somewhere.
So he folded this up, stuffed it into the chest protector or whatever he had there going on.
Just had the bubble one.
Yeah, I got, this is more like modern stuff. I've always been so nice to me. They would come up to me and they would like give me a 1966 Luis Aparicio card. Don't ask me how I know that's a 66. I just do, because it's what I do. And they would give me an Eddie Murray card, or they give me a 1981 Sisto Lescano card. That's a Dunruss card, man. That's not worth the paper it's printed on, I'm sure. Poor Sisto. And Sisto was like rocking whatever the hell that look was there. I'm not sure. Probably want to look like Carlos, his cousin who played music.
It's amazing. It's funny that you mentioned baseball cards, because I have probably not 10,000, but I have more than 5,000, and I still have them. I couldn't tell you the last time I looked through them. And I think of 10-year-old Luke Jones, obsessed with baseball cards.
10-year-old Nestor was obsessed with baseball cards.
And now...
Obsessed.
And we've talked about... I don't know if we've talked about this on the air before, but if you were into baseball cards, you knew how many home runs Cal Ripken hit in 1991 or 1989, or go back a little bit before that for you growing up.
I just touched something that's a bad memory.
But I just think of baseball cards and how we had stats memorized, and now I don't have any stats memorized because of the internet, and I don't collect baseball cards. So
Recognize that guy? Recognize that date? Yeah. That's the Billy Cundiff ticket.
Oh, I didn't even
That's
see
why
it.
that one's buried. That's why I kept that one under there. I don't know.
You know what? I'm convinced.
Here's the TO.
2012
Here's the TO.
Wouldn't have happened
Eagles
without
ticket.
Billy Cundiff.
TO Eagles ticket.
They would not have won the following year.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right about that. I'm going through, like, these are all my Ravens tickets. And the Ravens tickets don't feel like, they're all cool and they're neat and they all have a special memory. Here's a special memory. I took my wife out to Denver. We were there the first time Tom Brady lost a playoff game.
There you go.
So that was 2006. My wife was wearing Patriot stuff that night. She got treated really poorly in Atlanta. This was a playoff game that I went to in the Georgia Dome that Steve Young started and beat the Falcons in like 25 years ago, like a million years ago, 1995, 6, 7, somewhere 8, somewhere in there.
Kind of surprised the Falcons would be in the playoffs.
So all sorts of weird stuff here. I'm going through it all. Luke is here. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at LifeBridge Health Sports Medicine Institute, Foundry Row in Owings Mills. They take care of my elbow. They're going to get my wife going for a half marathon. Luke's been in here. We've been rolling through memories and stories because it's winter, and what the hell else are you going to do besides tell Georgia Championship? You never watched Georgia Championship Wrestling, right? Because you didn't have cable
Not
TV.
until... I've checked out a lot of that stuff on WWE Network.
So all these old tickets are heirlooms to you now. Well,
I mean, it's
it's
awesome. Don't get me wrong. It's just I grew up. I was a WWF kid.
I appreciate
Vince McMahon
you,
was catering to 6-year-old Luke Jones in 1989. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
If any of the horse racing fans want to see my Preakness passes from the 80s, I'll whip them out for you. They're all in the case here. But I have them. It's true. I like to pull like some random one out from 1942 or something. But I have every year I have Preakness pass since 1984. It was the first major pass I ever had. I know I've told you the story running into Howard Cosell at Pimlico.
Yeah.
And I did that pass. If I pulled that, it didn't have my name on it. It was a cheater. It said Luke Jones on it, but I wore it. It was like one of those deals. But old school. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, out on the internet, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Thanks for all you do to our sponsors. And we're here. We're live. We're not in Indianapolis. We are well. I'm putting Baltimore Positive together. Luke's going to be out in Owings Mills on the backside of all the stuff going on with the Ravens. You got free agency around the corner. Terps look like poop in State College the other night. But we'll bring it together. We'll be back with you all next week, all on the internet all weekend long. If there's any breaking news, you get it first on the WNST Text Service. That, of course, brought to you by our friends at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here on Thursday. Luke will be with Dennis. I'll be with Dennis. We'll be with Dennis. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. I'm going to sneak my Skipjack press packs back in one last time here. That got me into the press box and the VIP. I wonder what the hell a VIP lounge looked like in 1986 at the Civic Center. We never stop talking. Baltimore sports.